केशव गोस्वामी महाराज की, ছিল ভক্তি সিদ্ধান্ত সরস্বতী গোস্বামী প্রভুপাদ কি, ছিল নর্তন শ্রীনিবাস শ্যামানন্দ প্রভুপাদ কি, ছিল কৃষ্ণদাস কবিরাজ কি, প্রেম से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री राधा द्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की, गुरुदेव की, गोल्डन अवतार गुरुकुल की, नवद्वीप धाम की, पुरी धाम की, वृंदावन धाम की, निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल।
নদিয়া নদিয়া গো তুমি নিত্যানন্দ মহাজন পাঠিয়াছে নাম হট জীবের কারণ। নদিয়া নদিয়া গো তুমি নিত্যানন্দ মহাজন পাঠিয়াছে নাম হট জীবের কারণ। নদিয়া মহাজন পাঠিয়াছে নাম হট জীবের কারণ। নদিয়া নদিয়া গো তুমি নিত্যানন্দ মহাজন পাঠিয়াছে নাম হট জীবের কারণ। শ্রদ্ধাবান জন হে শ্রদ্ধাবান জন হে শ্রদ্ধাবান জন হে শ্রদ্ধাবান জন হে গুরু আজ্ঞায় ভাই মাগিয়ে বিহার গুরু আজ্ঞায় ভাই মাগিয়ে বিহার বলো কৃষ্ণ বলো কৃষ্ণ বলো কৃষ্ণ শ্রীহার বলো কৃষ্ণ বলো কৃষ্ণ শ্রীহার। নদিয়া নদিয়া গো তুমি নিত্যানন্দ মহাজন পাঠিয়াছে নাম হট জীবের কারণ। নদিয়া নদিয়া গো তুমি নিত্যানন্দ মহাজন পাঠিয়াছে নাম হট জীবের কারণ। অপরাধ শূন্য হয়ে নব কৃষ্ণ নাম অপরাধ শূন্য হয়ে নব কৃষ্ণ নাম। কৃষ্ণ মাতা কৃষ্ণ পিতা কৃষ্ণ ধন প্রাণ কৃষ্ণ মাতা কৃষ্ণ পিতা কৃষ্ণ ধন প্রাণ। নদিয়া নদিয়া গো তুমি নিত্যানন্দ মহাজন পাঠিয়াছে নাম হট জীবের কারণ। নদিয়া নদিয়া গো তুমি নিত্যানন্দ মহাজন পাঠিয়াছে নাম হট জীবের কারণ। কৃষ্ণের সংসার করো ছাড়িয়া না ছাড় কৃষ্ণের সংসার করো ছাড়িয়া না ছাড়। জীবের কৃষ্ণ নাম সর্বধর্ম সার জীবের কৃষ্ণ নাম সর্বধর্ম সার। নদিয়া নদিয়া গো তুমি নিত্যানন্দ মহাজন পাঠিয়াছে নাম হট জীবের কারণ। নদিয়া নদিয়া গো তুমি নিত্যানন্দ মহাজন পাঠিয়াছে নাম হট জীবের কারণ। শ্রদ্ধাবান জন হে 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 শ্রদ্ধাবান
Vanchakalpa Turbhyascha Kripa Sindhu eva cha Patitanam Pavanabhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namaha Om Gyan Tirumandasya Gyanjana Salakaya Chakshur Militam Yena Tashmai Shigure Namaha Chinada Pisunichina Tarora Pisa Ishnuna Amanina Manadena Yitni Sadahari Anyablasta Sunyam Gyan Kamadhyana Vritam Anukalenya Krishna Nushilanam Bhakti Uttama Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadata Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Golden Avatar School, can you turn your video on a second, please? So when you come on, this is beautiful that you came this week, and every time you appear, you set off a little, I always think you're called Golden Avatar School, but I'm always thinking Golden Volcano School, because you set a volcano off in my heart. Every time you come on, it's like an eruption in my heart. It's so beautiful. So please, if you can, come back every week. We really want you as part of the program. If you can manage it. I don't know what your schedule is, but it's so wonderful having you in our program. I know everybody, all the devotees would be so happy if you were here every week. Is that possible, Chandrasekhar?
We'll try.
If you can.
We're juggling a schedule a little bit at the moment.
Yeah, yeah.
But at least for some of it, we can.
Well, beginning or the end, whichever, whatever is convenient. Just lovely to see you and the children. Just beautiful to hear that sweetness. So welcome, brothers and sisters. Today, the 20th of December, we're on our 12th program out of 64. So we're working our way through this. We're only 2 weeks away now from being in the calendar year of Gurudev's 100th appearance. So like the sun coming up, we're just before the dawn now. And it's very exciting as we work our way through this glorious celebration of Gurudev's centenary year and Prabhupada's 125th year, and Srila Varman Maharaj's 100th year as well. So this is a wonderful celebration. Today we have 4 very, very sweet Sevaks and speakers. We're going to be starting with Srimati Shasikala Didi from Holland. She will be kicking off. She'll be starting, followed by Sriman Prabhu, who's coming in from Skegness in England at the Ganga retreat in the Midlands. And then from the same location, Srimati Manjukeshi Didi, who will also be speaking afterwards. And then coming in from, I believe, Switzerland, Sriman Prem Preyojana, who will be the 4th speaker. Yashari, you'd like to add anything before introducing Shasikala?
No, just Chandrasekhar Prabhu and the Gurukul school. You guys are like amazing. It felt like Navadweep had reached. I'm in Vrindavan at the moment, and it felt like Navadweep had reached Vrindavan, and I can imagine that it also reached the various locations around the world. It felt like Mahaprabhu's energy and Srila Gurudev's energy was like everywhere. So thank you so much, and hopefully we'll have you back. So I'm not going to do no pranam mantras, just off my humble obeisances, because Yashoda and Prabhu's already done. I just want to introduce our first speaker, who has spent many, many years serving Srila Gurudev, many years serving Vaisnavas. When Gurudev first came to the West, it was this particular person and their family that brought Gurudev to the first ground of the holy land of Holland. And this particular speaker, Srimati Shasikala Didi, has spent many years in publication, translating books, many years of Seva for Srila Gurudev, and still continues to do a numerous amount of Seva and that family. So without further ado, I would like to invite our Srimati Shasikala Didi to take the stage and speak some glories of Srila Gurudev.
Dandavat Pranam. Can you hear me? First of all, I like to offer my obeisances to the lotus feet of my Siksha Guru, Nityalila Pravishta Omishnupada Srila Gorgin Goswami Maharaj. Also the same to the lotus feet of my Diksha Guru, Nityalila Pravishta Omishnupada Srila Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And to all the assembled devotees, especially Yashodanandan Prabhu and Yashoda Didi, thank you for inviting me. Today, I'm asked to speak something about Srila Gurudev. I was thinking, I met Srila Gurudev since 1996, and I experienced lots of pastime with Gurudev because Holland was the main country where Srila Gurudev came. He came sometimes like twice, sometimes 3 times in a year to our residence, sometimes secretly also to hide here and to translate or his books or to recover from his health. He came here and stayed with us. And without any devotee of Holland knowing that he was here present. So many things I experienced in presence of Srila Gurudev, and very sweet pastimes. But I was thinking, as I have 20 minutes to speak, where to start and what to speak. It is so difficult because Gurudev's glories are endless. And because I saw Iswaranand Prabhu, so I was recalling one pastime of Srila Gurudev, which I want to start with. And also because December is also the month that Srila Gurudev also went into Aprakat Lila. So in this month, I'm always recalling what happened in that month. The education of the departure pastime of Srila Gurudev. So I'm thinking to speak about this too, and other things I will see whenever I have time, then I can speak also about the other things. Because of Ishwaranandan, I was, let me start with that. Before meeting with Srila Gurudev, I met with Srila Gorginda Maharaj. I met with Srila Gorginda Maharaj, and so that was in 1994. And then I met with Srila Gurudev. And before I starting with speaking about this, I want to say my pranam mantra. Om Gyanati Marandasya Gyanam Gyana Salakhaya Chakshur Imlitam Yena Tashmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Vanchaka Patru Vashay Kripa Sindhu Devacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namaha. So in 1994, Srila Gorginda Maharaj, when he came here in Holland, he was actually invited by some devotees. I didn't knew him. And we had a big place for staying, like a big house, like a hall. We had that house. And then some devotee, that devotee knew that we had a big house. And by this, he asked, is it possible for you to host Srila Gorginda Maharaj at your residence? And so we never met a pure sadhu before. We never met a pure sadhu before, and so we were curious how a pure sadhu look like, how he is behaving. So we said, of course. So Gorginda Maharaj came to stay with us, and he was very pleased with all the service. And then in the last, we experienced also pastime with him. So that is also, if I speak about that, that is also a few hours. But then in the last, he said he was very pleased with our seva. And he said, from now on, he gave our family a blessing that from now on, each year a sadhu will come to your place so that you can serve them. And so in 1996, when Gorginda Maharaj went into Aprakat Lila, we were very sad. Whole family was very sad. So I thought the sadness which you experience when your beloved Gurudev is going to Aprakat Lila is very painful. It's you don't want to face that pain actually. And then in 1996, we got a message that Srila Narayan Maharaj, after he departed Gorginda Maharaj, then we got a message that Srila Narayan Maharaj was coming to Holland. So we were asked to welcome him. So I thought, okay, he is very exalted Vaishnava, a guru. Let me see, let me go to receive him. So I went with my whole family to the airport to receive him. But in my mind, I was thinking, oh, he is in old age, so I will receive him, but I don't want to have initiation from him because Gorginda Maharaj, he just went into Aprakat Lila, and I thought Srila Gurudev is in advanced age, and what if I will have initiation from him and he will leave his body also very soon, then again I will face a pain. So I didn't want it to have initiation. So with respect, we went to the airport to receive him. But then the same feeling when I saw Srila Gurudev, I saw his sweet smile, his blue lotus eyes, his aura, that attracted me, and that reminded me of Srila Gorginda Goswami Maharaj. So I was thinking at the same moment, I hope he will initiate me. So, so I had a strong desire to get initiation from Srila Gurudev. So then he came to our residence. We were serving him and for many years. And one time, Gurudeva was in Italy. And after the festival, Gurudeva was, the devotees planned him to stay longer there. But each time I was supplying vegetables for Srila Gurudeva. Wherever he went in Europe, me and my family, we were supplying like lauki, bindi, taroi, all the fresh vegetables we were supplying, like in large quantity we were sending there, sometimes carrying ourselves for Srila Gurudeva. And Gurudeva was very much pleased with that. And one time it was like after the festival of Italy, then so they planned for Gurudeva's health a longer visit in Italy. So then a message came to me that if I can supply more vegetables for Srila Gurudeva and bring there. So I was happy. I thought, okay, this is my chance to be with Srila Gurudeva again. So when I came to Holland, so I collected all the vegetables I bought with my family. And then when the moment came to give a message to Srila Gurudeva, Gurudeva, I have everything. So when can I come to see you? And at that moment, a message came from Bhajanat Prabhu that Yashodanandan Prabhu of England, he is coming, his ticket is already booked. He's coming there, Italy. So there's no need for bring that vegetables, all those vegetables. So I became very sad. I thought, oh my God, I have collected everything and, you know, in short time, and now I cannot go. And I was very much, you know, I wanted very much to meet Srila Gurudeva also and to serve him, because during festivals, we were also cooking for Srila Gurudeva. We were also engaged in kitchen. I thought then I can also cook for Gurudeva and serve him. But then the message came, Shodanandan Prabhu, his ticket is booked and the vegetables is also available there in England. So what happened? So Yashodanandan Prabhu, very quickly, he arranged also vegetables, so he brought. And then I contacted with Srila Gurudeva, I have so much of vegetables, what should I do with that? And then Srila Gurudeva said that moment, you know, all those vegetables which you have there, you should cook each day for me. And I will come myself to eat, to take prasadam there. Each day I will come to you to take the prasadam. And I said, but Gurudev, I'm bereft of your darshan. I was very much looking forward to see you. Then Srila Gurudev said, no problem, you should not worry, because wherever I'm going, I'm carrying you and your family always in my pocket. So you are there, and also I'm there with you. You are with me, I'm also there with you. So that was a relief. So each time I was, all the things which I bought, we were offering and to Gurudev. So that, yeah, that reminded me when I saw Yashodananda Prabhu. And I know Yashodananda Prabhu also serves Srila Gurudev in also so many ways. So
I'm sorry, Didi.
So I don't, yeah, so I'm happy to have your darshan, and I'm happy what you are doing, engaging all the devotees and speaking about Srila Gurudev's glories. This is very great thing to do. And we all know that Gurudev is thief of the hearts. He's stealing all our hearts, even of Yashodananda Prabhu. Always with Srila Gurudev, busy with so many services. So and now, because this December month, so I'm also recalling pastimes of Srila Gurudev, when the last pastime, when Srila Gurudev went into a Prakat Lila. So that is the month, December. It's a painful month of us all. So when Gurudev, that in 2009 actually, in August 2009, Srila Gurudev went to Nepal to preach the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as well as to visit the city of Janakpur to have darshan of Sri Sita Devi's birthplace. I think Yashodananda Prabhu also knows these things. And upon his return to Mathura, then in Sri Keshavarji Gaudiya Math, he described there that it was his cherished desire. For a long time, he said, I desired to visit the birthplace of Sri Sita Devi, the Sakti of Lord Ram. And by her mercy, my desire has been fulfilled, Gurudev was mentioning. And that desire has been fulfilled in this final part of my life. So there he was already giving an indication there, and he was saying, therefore, I think that this pilgrimage, with this pilgrimage, I have completed my darshans of all the holy places in the world. So that he was saying. And also in Badger, in June 2010, at the end, he was saying of the program, he was saying, this is my final class here, he announced. This is my last journey to America, Srila Gurudev said. And even he left that festival a day prior. And all the devotees, he left all the devotees in separation. I think the devotees of America, they can recall this moment. And thus in various ways, Srila Gurudev began to reveal some or what his that is Supreme Worshipful Guru Padma, Srila Bhakti Goswami Maharaj, was calling him, and he was in this way. Srila Gurudev was indicating us that that he was about to depart. And I remember that when Srila Gurudev in 2010, when he came to Italy, then at that moment, we saw that he was actually noticeable weak also. And on the last day of Italy program, Holland devotees were gathered in his room. We were with lots of people in his room, and Srila Gurudev's in his apartment there. And as I was cooking there for Srila Gurudev there each time in Italy with my mother and my family, so we got the opportunity to sit also in front of Gurudev. So I was sitting at the lotus feet of Srila Gurudev, and I was sitting very sadly there because I remembered that there was prior to that, a day before that, there was a devotee who was went to Srila Gurudev for morning walk, and then I heard from her that he asked a question to Srila Gurudev. That he asked the question to Srila Gurudev, will you be my Gurudev life after life? Then Gurudev said to him, it may be changed, he said to him. And I was always thinking, oh my, I want the same Gurudev life after life. I don't want my Gurudev to be changed. So I thought maybe it will happen also with me. It can be changed. So I was so sitting there at the lotus feet of Srila Gurudev, and I was sitting sad. And then so many devotees of Holland were there, they were asking questions. And then finally, I want to know for sure. So I asked Srila Gurudev, Gurudev, life after life, will you be my Srila Gurudev? Then he happily said with a smiling face, yes, like yes. So that was also for me a confirmation that I will meet with Srila Gurudev life after life. And so it was a relief for me. And after like the European tour, Srila Gurudev planned to return to India, and then he wanted to fly to Dubai and to Russia after that, because to give Harikatha there and to have festivals there, because the devotees in Russia, they were there waiting for years to meet with Srila Gurudev, and they were yearning for his darshan, and they were unable to come even to India due to their financial problems. And so upon returning to India from Italy, he was returning to India. However, Gurudev went to there to preach, and after preaching, when he returned, then he went from the airport straight to the hospital because his health was not good. And as Gurudev enacted his pastime of illness again and again, so the heartbreak of his disciples and followers increased, with sadness. While Srila Gurudev stayed in Raman Vihari Gaudiya Math, and he received also his treatment there. And local devotees and many devotees from all over corners of the world, they came there to have Sankirtan outside his room for hours every day. And also, so people, I think Rishodambandana Prabhu also knows that, people neglected even their jobs and business, even Rishodambandana Prabhu, I think also. And household affairs, they neglected, and with two things in mind. And they're one thing, like their concern for Srila Gurudev's health and how to receive his darshan. So, and all prayed for his good health, and many devotees performed regular. Also, Palikram started also at that moment. It was during a Brajamandal Parikram period. And people were praying to Giriraj and Nrsingadev for his recovery. And I also went there to receive the darshan of Srila Gurudev. And once upon a time, it was like this, that I was there for 3 days. I couldn't see Srila Gurudev there because treatment was going on. And so with the tube, and he got like some treatment there. There was also so many things they were treating him, so I couldn't enter his room. And one time, Sripad Ban Maharaj came and he said to me, "Oh, did you have had darshan of Srila Gurudev?" Then I said, "Oh, Maharaj, I was sitting very sadly each time for hours there, waiting to get a glimpse of Srila Gurudev, but that was not possible, even though I was staying in the same mat." And then I said to Sripad Ban Maharaj, I didn't saw Srila Gurudev. Then Sripad Ban Maharaj was very surprised. How can I didn't met with him? So he said to me, "Come with me. So I will bring you to Srila Gurudev." So he was knocking very hard, loudly there at the front door. So the servants of Srila Gurudev opened the door. So he said, "Come with me." And then I went there, even though treatment was going on. So I was there. And I normally, since 1996, I was seeing Gurudev with laughing face, so you know, in a different way. But the scene which I saw there was breaking my heart. Like Gurudev was lying down on his bed, and monitor was on, and like a tube, there were oxygen was they were feeding him with oxygen. And I saw him in that scene there. So I started to cry very loudly there because it was breaking my heart. And then then at that moment I bowed down and to pay my obeisances to Srila Gurudev. So the moment I stood up, then I saw a different scene. Srila Gurudev, he surprised me because of what scene I saw there. Srila Gurudev, before he was lying down, you know, very sick and so, and then he stood very straight there on his bed. He stood and he was smiling at me, and he was speaking with me as nothing had happened there. And he was giving like blessing with his hands, and he was speaking, but I couldn't understand what he was saying, because it looked like he was speaking in Samadhi language. So I couldn't even understand. It was neither Hindi nor Bangla, or I couldn't understand his words, but it was very different words came from his mouth. But he was started to speak with me. And then that moment I realized that this is a sickness pastime. Gurudev is not suffering. It is a pastime of Srila Gurudev. So I was, so in that way, it was, my mood changed, you know, it was a relief that Gurudev was not suffering. So that was my realization. And later Srila Gurudev went to Govardhan. So many devotees assembled there to have darshan of Srila Gurudev. He was brought with the ambulance there. And then again, I was, you know, lucky to go enter in his room, because I had that moment, Raghu Pandit of Holland, he's not living here in Holland anymore, but he was there. He designed the cover of Bhagavad Gita. which I had translated. Gurudev asked me to translate, and I had translated. And so I wanted to show to Srila Gurudev, and he was very much pleased with the design of Raghav Pandit, and also the translation I offered in his hands. And so that I could do. And also, we were also bereft of the Gurudev's darshan also there when we were in Govardhan, because we saw Gurudev on a screen each time. So we couldn't, but still the programs were going on. But what happened also is, even though Srila Gurudev was in this sickness pastime, Srila Gurudev, like in Govardhan, sometimes, things happened like in Govardhan, sometimes he was awaking from sleep and asked to the devotees, servants there, oh, the Palikram has gone to Nandagaon today. Is it Ekadasi today? And this astonished also the people who were serving him. And because they had not given him any information what day it was, yet Srila Gurudev had current knowledge of what was happening during Brajamandal Palikram. And sometimes in the evening he would say, oh, today we will go to Sri Damodar Mandir and Seva Kunj, Sri Radha Sham Sundar Mandir, and other nearby places, he was saying. I cannot go to them all, but I will certainly go to Seva Kunj, he was saying, and Sri Radha Damodar. Or he was also saying, like, today the Palikram is going to Mansarovar. And it was as if he was directly doing Brajamandal Palikram. Actually, it is Gurudev who's performing the Palikram. So in these things, yeah, it was during his final pastime. And in the last, because I think I have to end, so in the last, it was like when he was in Puri, then in his final pastime, it happened on 29th of December 2010, and it was 2 a.m. And that moment, his servants, that moment, his servants asked him if he want to drink something, and he said yes. He drank like some glucose water, and then Srila Gurudev said first he wanted to go to the washroom, and so the devotees assisted him and helped him to sit on his bed. And Srila Gurudev started to drink that water, and then he said, I'm not able to sit anymore, he said. And the servants quickly helped Gurudev to lay down. And Srila Gurudev then asked them to help him turn over. And later on, his breath was, he could partly breathe. And then there were some fluctuation on Srila Gurudev's pulse and oxygen intake on the monitor. You could see that. And then, although this was going on, Gurudev was very peaceful, and he gazed upon all who was present there, and all who were present there, they were not realizing that Gurudev was about to conclude his pastime. But the monitor indicated dropped, his pulse was dropped, and oxygen level, and so everyone was chanting loudly Harinam Mahamantra, and then Srila Gurudev's tongue quivered, and then he chanted, and then he went into Aprakat Lila. But that day was also the appearance day of Srila Vaman Goswami Maharaj. As we know, when Srila Guru he left his Grihastha life, then it was Srila Vaman Maharaj who came to take him with the kerosene on the indication of Param Gurudev, to take him to Param Gurudev. And we see on the day of his departure, it was Srila Vaman Goswami Maharaj appearance day. So he appeared, he indicated to Srila Gurudev to enter into the Nichalila. So again, he came in the picture of Srila Gurudev to bring him to Nichalila, to Vinod Manjari. to his Param Gurudev. So actually, there are more details in because due to the time, I will end my lecture, and so I'm thanking Nishudanand Prabhu and all who has arranged this program, and we should continue like this.
Didi, thank you so much. That was so beautiful. I had no idea of my guilt. I'm sorry for my transgressions.
It was your fortune to be with Srila Gurudev at that time. It was my fortune.
Yeah, you're reminiscing, your glorification of Gurudev has brought up how I came to Gurudev in 1996, and I was just actually couldn't conceptualize how that possibly happened, as in the fortune, the creeper for all of us. I mean, we can only experience everything through our own experiences, and when you share your experience, it triggers another experience for me of being with Srila Gurudev. I mean, the idea that I came to Srila Gurudev, I didn't even have any interaction with ISKCON at all in '96. It's just inconceivable. I can't really measure the mercy that came to me, and all of us were so fortunate to have come to Srila Gurudev. The chances. Just yesterday we were on Sankirtan, and I was saying to Budar, actually, Prabhu, I was saying the chances at the beginning of this life of Brahma that my soul could come into contact with even the holy name, let alone be able to do even the human body, let alone be able to perform Sankirtan on the street, is so inconceivable as to be miraculous in itself. So everything we're talking about is miraculous. And your disappearance, your recount of his disappearance pastimes. I mean, I remember so much of what we remember about Gurudev. We remember something at the time, but also we reflect on what happened, and we have different realizations after his disappearance about Srila Gurudev, because everything happened so fast. It's really amazing how Srila Gurudev, on the one hand, showed these very intimate, vulnerable, human-like pastimes of disappearance, where he was vulnerable with us and wanted us to serve him. Not that we could help him, but we were just serving him. And at the same time, he was facilitating our seva, and then our development of Sukriti in relationship with him and Sri Radha Krishna. So very incredible. Your pastimes, your glorification really brought up a lot of memories and also insights about my experience of Srila Gurudev. And that's what this glorification is all about, is presencing Srila Gurudev all the time in each other's lives. So I'm very grateful, Didi. Thank you for offering that. You should I?
Thank you, Shasikala Didi, so much for. Can you hear me? Because my internet's unstable, so you can hear me. Okay. Thank you, Shasikala Didi. I'll keep it very short.
You're welcome.
I'll keep it very short. You can hear me, right?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. I just want to say thank you. You know, you said that. You know, when you serve Vaisnavas, you automatically serving Srila Gurudev, and you can see that in your in the way that you and your family have served so many Vaisnavas. That access, that access that no other, unless we serve the Vaisnavas, we don't get the access to Sri Guru that we want. So you know that example, that pastime you gave about Sri Prabhu taking you to Srila Gurudev when he was ill is just an example of the dedication that you guys have, and I'm just so fortunate that I have your association, and I'm just really thankful for everything that you and Maya and so many others in your family have done. Thank you so much, Didi, for taking time to say remember Srila Gurudev with us. I feel much closer to him, and hopefully we will bring you back also, so that we can get some more memories from you, if that's okay.
Thank you for engaging me in the Seva. Thank you for this. And you are doing great.
So, can you all still hear me?
Yeah, not great, Didi, but just about.
Thank you, Didi.
Jai Shasikala Didi Ki Jai.
Ki Jai.
Okay, so can you hear me?
No, you're going out of range now. Try again, Yeshadari.
If you can't hear me, then you can take over each other, Prabhu.
Yeah, just try again. Try once more.
Can you hear me
You can't
now?
hear me. It's all right. Carry
Just
on with
about.
me now.
Just about. Go on.
What about now?
Yes, better, better.
Okay, hold on. Okay.
You're in two
So
places
let me
at
just go
once
on to
now.
the second phone. I'm just using a different phone.
That's good. That's good.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I
carry
feel
on.
so bad. I'm never normal like this. Okay. So we're introducing our second speaker, who is an amazing god brother of mine, who I am really fond of. I met him a couple of years ago at the Ganga Mat, Gaudiya Mat. He did.
You've gone, unfortunately. Yeshadari, I'll introduce him because you've gone. Oh, yeah. Okay. So our second speaker is a beautiful devotee originally from Brazil. He came to Srila Gurudev in 2010. Definitely a just-in-time devotee. 2010, perfect timing. But what I've learned in Krishna consciousness is that you can never assess anyone's devotional qualities by the time they arrived. In fact, there are some people I know that never met Srila Gurudev, and their connection to Srila Gurudev is deeper than some people I know who met knew Srila Gurudev for years. So on one level, date is a level of seniority, but on another level, and in the terms of the real essence of being a bhakta, it has no bearing whatsoever. What matters is connection to Vani in the heart. And I don't actually know this gentleman so well, but I've been really impressed and attracted by his very calm and mature demeanor, his focus on Seva, and his very humble way in which he serves the devotees almost continuously. Very, very sweet. And I think I have a feeling he's always been for me one to watch. I think he's a rising star. But I don't like to embarrass people too much, so I'll stop there. And zooming in from Skegness, we have Sriman Pundarikaksa Das, Haribol Prabhu, who has Gurudev's Murti right behind him, I believe.
Oh yeah.
Fantastic. Welcome, welcome.
Thanks. You did a really good job that embarrassing me. I really appreciate it. And actually, really, really kind words. I can't hear you anymore.
My job is to embarrass.
Okay. Well, then you're doing your job very well.
And embrace.
You did that very well too. Yes, I just want to thank you for these kind words. If you're pleased in some way with me, then that means Gurudev is pleased with me too. So I'm happy with that. All right, let's get started. Agyanativirandasya Gyananjana Salataya Chakshurana Tasmaya Shri Gurave Namaha Vandeham Shri Guru Varam Shri Rupanugatavaram Rajarasya Rasitam Narayanam Tamparam Shri Guru Charana Vande Ramana Krishnaya Mutale Rupam Pamurti Govardhana Guru Sada Radha Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vaibhacha Patitanam Pavanam Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Gosai Kari Charana Vandan Sadhishtapuram Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Radha Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Rama. First of all, I offer my humble obeisance to Shri Guru Pada Padma, Om Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Shtatra Sati Shushmashta Bhakti Vedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj, to the entire Shri Rupanuga Gaudiya Guru Varga, to all Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis present here, all my senior God brothers and God sisters, please I beg for your mercy. First, I want just to thank Yashodananda Prabhu, Yashodhari Didi for giving me this opportunity to try to glorify Gurudev. I know the program is remembering Gurudev, but as Yashodananda Prabhu explained, I've only come to Gurudev actually in the last batch, in 2010 Kartik actually, as Shasikala Mataji was recounting her experience seeing Gurudev at that time in Delhi and Govardhan. I very fondly remember those memories because they're pretty much my only memories with Gurudev in physical association. Yeah, that was a very special moment. And as it's obvious now, I spent most of my devotional life, actually pretty much the whole devotional life I have without any physical association with Shri Guru Pada Padma. That could be seen as a very nice thing. It isn't sometimes, but it's also a blessing, I like to think, because that gives me the opportunity to focus on his Vani and to somehow earn myself that physical association in my next life by this life, trying to follow his Vani the best I can. So just really quick, I don't know how long, I think it's 20 minutes, so I'm not gonna speak too much. But I'd also like to remember our God brother Ramakanta Prabhu. He's actually from Brazil. Actually, probably no one here met him, but he is the one person alongside Lilananda Prabhu, also from Brazil, who brought me to Gurudev. And Ramakanta Prabhu actually, he left this world last year, and it was very hard for me. Sorry. And I just want to remember him. So yeah, Gurudev very kindly put many devotees in my life to allow me to actually meet him through these devotees. So it has been a really great blessing. And to me, there is nothing, no other Harikatha I want to hear except Gurudev's glories, because everything is in there. We've been, as Yashodananda Prabhu explained, we are in Skagness now, under the blessing hand of Gurudev, under the guidance of Vaisnavas, and we've been following a very intense program here, constantly doing Kirtan and Harikatha and everything. And we've been hearing recently how all the Brajbasis, all associated with Mahaprabhu, everyone is with Gurudev. Gurudev is never alone. And so by hearing his glories, we are also immediately connecting directly to Krishna's Leela and Gauranga Mahaprabhu's Leela. So I'm very blessed to have had association of so many of Gurudev's near and dear followers and great Vaisnavas. I remember many years ago when I came to Vrindavan, I approached Padrananda Prabhu, and I told him that I've had no association from Gurudev. And the first thing he said is, this is not true. He's present in all his books. Haribo? Sorry. Somehow the host muted me. Can you still hear me? Haribo?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're good. Carry on.
Okay. So he also kindly said how actually Ramanujacharya, he actually also, even though he became the successor of his own Gurudev, he didn't actually have that physical association with him. And he explained how actually he associated with his most intimate disciples, and through his own Gurudev's intimate disciples, he learned everything from his Guru and became his successor. So he very kindly told me that I should, as much as I can, always serve my God brothers and God sisters. And like that, Gurudev will be happy and pleased with me, and everything will come to me And so today, Yashodananda has made my life successful by saying how much he's pleased when I'm trying to do service. So I thank him for that. I'd also like to very quickly read Glorification of Gurudev in Sri Guru Darshan, where it's explained how the disciples of Srila Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta appreciated his personality. So it's a quick passage, and it mentioned like a handful of disciples of Srila Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta and how actually they were coming to Sri Gurudev to associate with him in Mathura year after year, even though they were much more senior than him. They were god brothers of his own guru, and so it's very sweet to see how they would glorify him. So it starts saying, respected by Srila Prabhupada Sarasvati Thakur's disciples. Many of Srila Bhaktivedanta Sarasvati Thakur Prabhupada's pure disciples would spend time with Srila Gurudev in Mathura. Srila Gurudev pleased them with sweet service and harikatha. Akinchan Krishna Das Babaji Maharaj, a renowned sadhu who was always absorbed in inner moods and who was a famed kirtaniya, he stayed with Srila Gurudev in Mathura for 2 to 4 weeks periodically throughout the year. To the brahmacharis living with Gurudev, Krishna Das Babaji Maharaj would say, Maharaj is a Mahabhagavat and a Braj Premi. Such a personality is very rarely met. You are supremely fortunate that he gives you shelter, affection, and sweet harikatha. If you do not pray to him and have full faith in him, then you will not be able to understand his spiritual service. I remember how Gurudev would often talk about Srila Nityadev Vishnu Pada Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj. When he would glorify him, he would often say that most people could see how high and how tall the mountain is, but couldn't really appreciate how deep it was. And of course, he was referring to all the amazing feats that Srila Prabhupada has made while preaching in the West. Thousands of disciples, hundreds of temples, and we're seeing how many devotees are still following his instructions and preaching all over the world. But Gurudev was talking about how deep the mountain is, in the sense of what was his sadhana and bhajan like, and who he actually was in the spiritual world and all that. And here we see how Srila Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj, who is the great Kirtaniya of Srila Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta, he's directly saying that Srila Guru Maharaj is this Braj Premi, Braj Anuragi, such a high position, and also a kind of unprecedented exchange between a senior Vaishnava and someone who is supposedly junior to him. So he continues saying, Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj would go with Srila Gurudev to confidential places of Radha Krishna's encounters in Braj. He showed Gurudev places such as Bhajna Shila, Rattakeli Kunja, Nayan Sarovar, and special pastime sites in Kamyavan. Srila Gurudev would not give Diksha or Harinam at that time. Yet, hundreds of Brajbasis, Bhaktas, and general people had great faith in him and would eagerly come for his darshan. This parampara is the Parakiya line. To make a relationship with such a personality, there is no necessity of taking Pancharatrik Diksha. The Premi Bhaktas attract the living entities and connect them to Bhagavan by their unparalleled love. So I've heard many descriptions from also some of our now sannyasis like Shripad Bhaktivedanta Siddhanti Maharaj. He explained how when he came, because he's Diksha disciple of Srila Bhaktivinoda Puri Goswami Maharaj, and when he came to Math to stay with Gurudev, he immediately saw how many people were staying at Math and were actually not directly initiated by Gurudev. So many disciples of like we have here present, Srila Govind Maharaj, and some disciples of course, Srila Vaman Goswami Maharaj, and many other Maths, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, would be following and staying with Gurudev continuously. And here again, it's expressed. This is, of course, much earlier than that time. That was my late 1990s. It's explaining how Guru Maharaj, he was giving shelter to everyone according to this Bhagavad Guru Parampara defined by our Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Prabhupada. He established how in our Gaudiya line we are following this Bhagavad Guru Parampara and not this Pancharatrik Guru Parampara. Although Pancharatrik is also included, prominence is given to Bhagavad Guru Parampara, and how this flow of Braj Prem, the flow of these moods of Braj are actually flowing from our Guru Parampara into the heart of those trying to follow them. So Gurudev, he was in that position in Mathura for many years, as he was not there initiating Acharya and Gaudiya Vedanta Samiti, and only really started initiating in the maybe late 1980s or 1990s. So this is a very special quality Guru Maharaj displayed, being a Bhagavad Guru. Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, before accepting sannyas, he spent many months with Srila Gurudev in Mathura. After sannyas, Srila Swami Maharaj would invite Gurudev to meet him in Vrindavan, at the Radha Damodar temple, and later at the Krishna Balaram temple. They would speak Harikatha together, just like Rupa and Sanatana Goswami. Srila Bhakti Hriday Bon Maharaj would occasionally invite Srila Gurudev to his ashram in Vrindavan, and sometimes came himself to meet Gurudev in Mathura. Srila Bon Maharaj greatly revered Srila Gurudev, even though he was a disciple of his own god brother. He appreciated Gurudev so much, for he recognized Gurudeva's service tendency imbued with Braj Anurag, the pure love of the Brajvasis. Srila Bhakti Daita Madhav Maharaj would eagerly hear Srila Gurudev's Harikatha. He would invite Srila Gurudev to his Vrindavan temple for occasions such as Julan Yatra and Vyas Puja. And on other occasions, he came to meet Gurudev in Mathura. He would say to Gurudev, "You took shelter of Sadguru and are a perfect Guru Seva. Therefore, you are Sadguru yourself. To be Guru Sevaka is not an easy thing. That person who is a beloved servant of Guru, has all the qualities and potency of his spiritual master manifest within him. Therefore, all his spiritual truths and potency have entered within you." Srila Bhakti Jivan Janardhan Maharaj would come and spend the month of Kartik with Srila Gurudev, and he also attended Navadvip Parikrama with the Gaudiya Vedanta Samiti. Aside from this, he would sometimes spend months at a time with Srila Gurudev in Mathura. He was greatly pleased to see Gurudeva's inclination towards bhajan and his partiality to Srimati Radhika, and they would spend hours discussing the esoteric principles of bhakti. He told his disciples as well as Srila Gurudeva's followers, "It is very rare to meet such a Braj Premi. Don't consider him ordinary. Doing so would cause you great inauspiciousness. You would lose something extremely precious." Srila Bhakti Aloka Paramahamsa Maharaj, another exalted disciple of Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta, would often come to Mathura and listen with rapt attention to Srila Gurudev speak on Rasik topics. Srila Bhakti Budev Shroti Maharaj, an esteemed scholarly disciple of Prabhupada Sarasvati Thakur, had a close relation with Srila Bhakti Pragyana Keshav Goswami Maharaj and Srila Gurudev, and spent much of his time with them in Mathura. He once said to Srila Gurudev, "A person who has no anurag cannot be absorbed in Bhagavan's name. To chant the names of God for a loveless person is a heavy burden. But anuragis cherish the names of God and repeat them over and over again, as a lover calls for the beloved. You are fortunate to be such an anuragi, and those who stay with you are fortunate to be in your company. Because of your Braj Bhakti, Harinam Sankirtan is continuously resounding here." Srila Bhakti Vichar Jajal Maharaj appreciated Srila Gurudev very much and took delight in his company. He said to Gurudev, "You have attracted many souls to you by the power of your service and faith in Guru. Your Braj Bhakti shines as a beacon, beaconing those who are eager for pure love. I'm so happy to spend time with you." Srila Bhakti Vikas Shrikesh Maharaj and Srila Bhakti Kumud Shanta Maharaj who were both wonderful kirtaniyas, took delight in performing kirtans relevant to Braj with Srila Gurudev. Srila BhaktiVikas Rishikesh Maharaj said to Gurudev, when I am with you, I feel like I am in an oasis of rasa, but the other places are like deserts. When with Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Kumuda Shanta Maharaj would sing, O He Nila Jamunara Jal, I am immersed in the blue waters of the Jamuna. He would say to Gurudev, I become entranced by your Nilima, the blue irises of your eyes. They are filled with so much prema. Srila Bhakti Gaurav Vaikanash Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Prakasharani Maharaj, and Srila Bhakti Vilastita Maharaj would respect Srila Gurudev and be eager to hear Harikatha from him. They requested him, you are proficient in the moods and philosophy of our Goswamis. The Goswamis have composed so many granthas. Please translate and comment on them. This will be a great gift to humanity. In this way, many of Srila Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's prominent disciples, who became leading acharyas of the Gaudiya Parampara, respected Srila Gurudev and happily spent time in his company. Srila Gurudev served all disciples of Prabhupada and pleased them with his unallowed Raga Bhakti. Attracted by his purity, service tendency, and love, they would come again and again to meet with him. Sorry, the computer screen has. So this is the glorification of our Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta disciples of our Srila Gurudev. I thought I read this because I honestly have no capacity to glorify, to give any glories of Gurudev. I don't understand his position. All I know is I can pray to him and he will certainly bless me that one day I'll be able to serve him and please him and realize one drop of his glories. And by repeating the words of pure Vaisnavas, that's actually doing more service to myself and everyone here. So please forgive me for any mistakes and any offenses, and please, if I've said anything wrong, correct me. Dandavat pranams. Thank you.
Shadari.
I'm a bit scared that you won't be able to hear me.
Oh no, it's no good again.
But hypothetically, like no.
You sound like a Dalek. Never mind. Oh, it's a shame. Try and find another location, Yashadari, around the house. Pundarik Prabhu, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Firstly, before I respond to anything to what you just said so beautifully, could you please give us all darshan of Gurudev? Because Gurudev is, the sun is shining brightly on him and he looks magnificent. Wow. I'm actually in awe of that murti. I feel so much mercy from that murti, and also some overwhelming feeling. He has both that mercy and that stern look, that grave look at the same time. When I went there and I sat in front of him, I felt like he was just seeing all the way through me and back. It was kind of scary and beautiful, like only Gurudev can do. Pundarik Prabhu, thank you so much for your beautiful glorification. And all I can say is I'm sure you have pleased Srila Gurudev a lot already, and I'm sure you're going to please him a lot in the future. And you're just an example of what I said at the beginning. You may have come, I like the way you said the last batch, like we're manufacturing souls or something. The last batch of production. You're in the last batch, but you know, as Jesus said, the last will be first and the first last. So what I'm learning from some of the devotees that came to Gurudev late, like actually Yashadari, is that it also in some ways I was spoiled because I came early, and also he was always patting me on the head and treating me sweetly until he did tell me off a couple of times. That was also beautiful. I have to say, I was always afraid of that, but actually it was very beautiful when he did. But the one like you who came late, there's some special quality. I'm not sure if I can find the adjective. It's a quality of, you know, you never take Gurudev for granted. There's a yearning, there's a searching, there's an intensity that comes from coming late in a way that I'm learning, which is very beautiful. And when I hear you speak and I hear Yeshadari speak, it infuses some of that into me, where that familiarity perhaps that I allowed to enter into my relationship with Gurudev, because I had so much experience of his Vapu. Your example, Yeshari's example, injects me with more greed, more yearning to go deeper, searching in that sort of the region of separation. So I really appreciate it. Yeshari, I'm anxious for you to see if you can add a couple of words, but let's test your internet again. If it doesn't work, I'll just carry on.
I don't think you're going to be able to hear me.
Yeah, perfect. Say it quickly. You got it.
You rock, and I love you, and I'm so grateful for you. Thank you so much for everything that you do. You inspire me a lot. Love you, brother.
I wanted to make a little spontaneous announcement, actually. A very sweet devotee from Bolivia called Navalatika Didi just made a request to glorify Gurudev from South America, both herself and God brothers and God sisters down in South America. And I said, of course, absolutely. We're very much, our mood here is Gurudev's family is not just a worldwide family, it's a universal family. And it just so happens that we started it in the UK, although Yeshadari right now is in India. This is a worldwide Sangha. So we love it when family members from all over the world want to participate. And she will be glorifying Gurudev next week, and hopefully many more from South America as a result of her proactive move just now. And if there's anyone else online, because I know there was some discussion on the chat, is this a UK Sangha thing or what's going on? No, it's not a UK Sangha thing. It's Gurudev Sangha. And actually, it's the Vaishnava Sangha, because Gurudev never had any walls around him anyhow. So while it's Gurudev Sangha, it's actually the Vaishnava Sangha. Gurudev was the most broad-minded of beautiful acharyas. So if there's anybody else who would like to step forward and offer their glorification one week, or would like to offer other people's participation, please let either myself or Yeshadari know. I'll put my WhatsApp number up in the chat. Make sure you get it before the Zoom meeting ends, because otherwise you won't be able to access it. And Yeshadari will also put her number up there, so whoever you feel comfortable contacting, you can contact. I'll just do that now before I forget. Yeah. Yashoda London. Okay, great. So I'm going to move on and introduce our third speaker, who is, oh, she's there already, fantastic. I have to say, I'm so happy she's speaking. I've known this lady for many, many years. I have to talk about her glories of she once, I can't remember who she beat, but it was a ladu. What are those things called? Those really sweet Indian sweets.
Gulab Jamun.
Yeah, I can't even eat one of those.
Vishnu Priya.
Oh, was it Vishnu Priya she beat? Okay, so there's a competition between her and Vishnu Priya. I knew she was going to win. I mean, if I was a gambling person, I would have put 1,000 rupees on it. And I think she managed to do 21 or 24 of them in a stunning race. But that's not her chief glory. She's a Ganga. She's been a pillar of the Ganga community for many, many years. I actually can't remember how many years, but it's got to be at least 15. You can correct me if I'm wrong. She's always serving. She's always got a smile on her face. She's really an incredible sevak. And, you know, one of the things I've learned from glorifying Gurudev is often the shyest are the best. As you know, I'm not shy, so I'd probably go to the bottom of the pile. She's quite shy. And so when I asked her to glorify Gurudev, I had to battle through a few no's before we got to a yes. But the shy ones always have the sweetest memories and glorifications to render. And they don't want to be seen, like the Manjuris, actually, they don't want to be seen at the forefront. They're always looking to see how they can engender the participation of others. She's very generous like this. So I'm so glad that somehow she did agree to speak. I know she's nervous, but there's no need to be nervous, Didi. We're all rooting for you, and we can't wait to hear your glorification of Srila Gurudev. So I'm passing over to Srimati Manju Didi in Skegness. Please glorify Gurudev and we'll relish your katha. Hari Bol Didi. Thank you.
Manju, you just have to unmute.
Okay, can you hear me? Very well.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah.
I also don't know why I said yes to this. I'm still regretting. But after half an hour, less than half an hour, it will be over, so I can relax. Actually, it was very nice hearing Shasikala Didi speaking. I remember her since I was a child, and for some reason she was always around at like some weird moments, and her calming energy makes me calm also. So I feel a bit better now. And then, okay, so, Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Sri Srimad BhaktiZOOM Narayani Chinamane Akum Karatu Vachalam Tangum Langayate Girim Yatkipata Maham Mande Sri Guru Nintayani Panchakapatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaivcha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaisnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Asari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So before speaking, I would like to offer my humble obeisances at the lotus feet of Srila Gurudev, the BhaktiZOOM Pundarikaksa Goswami Maharaj, the lotus feet of Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, at our whole Rupanuga Gaudiya Guru Varga, all the devotees present online. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I heard that if you're being asked to speak about your Gurudev, you cannot say no. So I ended up saying yes. But also I remember how actually Srila Gurudev, he always wanted his disciples to be bold. And especially his daughters, he said, don't be like little kittens, going, no, but be like lions or lionesses. And yeah, and bold doesn't mean like I know everything. It actually, it can be that maybe I'm not qualified, but my Gurudev gives me the instruction, so I will just do my best. And that I remember actually how one time, or quite a few times, but the first time we were, sometime we were in India on parikrama, and I think I was too enthusiastic, and where the Kirtan party was, and all the devotees were doing Kirtan, and me and Lalita, we were like always in front next to the brahmacharis. We're like, yeah, also dancing in the Kirtan. And so some of the Vaisnavas, they kindly told us that we should do our own Kirtan party. And so we ended up doing that. At that time, I think I was like 17, and I wasn't so long in Krishna consciousness, and I didn't actually know much. I couldn't really play mridanga properly, or we didn't know how to do kirtan properly. But anyway, we just did it every day. Maybe some of you might remember us going out in Brajmanda, just walking around with like a few of us with some mridanga kartas, one small hand mic, and going Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And it was incredibly embarrassing. But somehow all the Vaisnavas, whenever they saw us, they would be like, hey, Kirtan, where's the Kirtan? And also many times Gurudev would see us either coming back from parikrama, or he would come on to some places, and he would see us, and just the smile on his face, and he was so encouraging. He was like, yeah, Kirtan, he really liked it also. So remembering how pleased Gurudev was. Oh, someone is saying that I'm in the shadow. Remembering how pleased Srila Gurudev was to see us silly girls boldly following the instructions. So therefore, I'm trying to please Srila Gurudev also today and speak something about his glories. And so actually, I was thinking about how Srila Gurudev, when he first came to the temple in Devananda Gaudiya Math, he met his Gurudev. He actually came to his Gurudev and he just offered himself to his Gurudev. He said, all the love and affection I have for my family and for everything in this world, I'm giving at your lotus feet. And Param Gurudev was so pleased with him. I can see her Didi properly. We're talking, I don't know.
It's okay. You look great.
So Gurudev, and he started to take up responsibility for his Guru Seva. And actually, I was thinking about how Srila Gurudev, he actually took up this full responsibility for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. And he went everywhere around the world to distribute that which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to distribute, isn't it? And just like we always hear how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and he wanted to distribute this this Manjari Bhav, this service to Srimati Radhika. And actually, if it wasn't for Srila Rupa Goswami, then no one would have known about this. They wouldn't have known, like in this Young Kali Rupa song is said that no one would know the difference between Mathura and Vrindavan, Madhurya, and all the different moods and the glories of Srimati Radhika's love. So this was Srila Rupa Goswami who fulfilled the innermost desire of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And following his line, Srila Gurudev, he did the same, isn't it? He went everywhere in the world and he inspired everyone, and he very clearly established this. He established like what is our goal. Because recently we were reading something about this, about how important it is to know our goal. Gurudev himself, he used to always say this, like first you have to know what is your goal. If you don't know what is your goal, like for example, if you want to go traveling, if you just go to the airport and you say, I want to travel, and then they'll ask her, where do you want to go? Yeah, I want to travel. If you're not very precise about where you want to go and what's your destination, then you will not get very far. Also, if you want to go and study in the school, especially the first few years you go to primary school or whatever, but then after you go to university, and you need to know what you want, what is your goal, to be able to actually achieve anything. So same way in our spiritual life, Gurudev, he used to put a lot of importance on knowing what is our goal. And he would go all around the world, and even like the little children, they would know that Gurudev would ask, who do you want to be in, Gurudev? And the little children would be like, I want to be a Manjari. And he would get young devotees singing these songs like Palya Dasi Kori and Brishabhanu Sutta, all these very high moods. And Srila Gurudev, he was revealing that to all of us. But he wasn't just doing that in such a way that we would be like, crazy for that and forget everything else. He always did it in such a way that he would establish the goal. And then afterwards he would say, okay, this is our goal. Now I will speak. What is the process to achieve that? And then I remember, I think one time in Vrindavan, he was during Kartik, he was speaking Prem Samput. And then when he finished Prem Samput, he said, now we will speak about the process, and then he started speaking Vacho Vegam, Manasakroda Vegam, Jiva Vegam, Udarapasta Vegam, Srila Upade Samrita from also Srila Rupa Goswami. And he very clearly he explained how we, if you know, at the moment we know what's our goal, but at the moment we're not there yet, isn't it? There's this famous lecture that says it's a very, very critical time. At the moment we might have given up everything material, but at the same time we don't have a taste yet for the spiritual. We don't actually have this relationship with Radha and Krishna established. So Gurudev said this is very critical time. We need to understand that as long as we don't have this spontaneous attraction yet to Krishna, then we have to follow all the rules and regulations of Vaidhi Bhakti. But Gurudev instructed us to do it in such a way that he would infuse us with the moods of Raganuga Bhakti, isn't it? And actually, so in this way, from the beginning of our practice, we can have our goal in mind. And if we have our goal in mind, it's so important to have our goal in mind, because if we don't have a goal, then any little obstacle that comes, I want to give up. Isn't it? Like any discomfort or anything, it becomes a little bit difficult. At first we're like, yay, very enthusiastic, and we think very soon we will be, you know, in the spiritual world. I'm a manjari very soon. But after some time practicing, we realize that, oh, I actually still have so much lust, I have so much anger, so much greed, all these anarthas are popping up, and I have problems waking up for Mangalarti. You know, so many obstacles and so many, I have so many material conditionings, and that at some point in our practice we're going to have to give this up. And knowing what's our goal, this gives this determination to actually keep going and not losing our faith and our hope. So Gurudev, he was very expert at doing that, and especially I remember Gurudev saying that he came to the West, especially for you know, for on Srila Prabhupada's instruction, because Srila Prabhupada at the time when he entered into Samadhi, he requested Srila Gurudev, please take care of all my disciples, you know, all the rest of my mission, of my disciples. And he did in all different ways, isn't it? He protected ISKCON itself, isn't it? When Srila Prabhupada's blood son, he said that ISKCON belonged to him because it was his father's. So now he can have his father's business, which is ISKCON. And it was actually Gurudev who went to court and who protected ISKCON. He got all the evidences explaining how Srila Prabhupada had taken sannyas, which means that he's not anymore, you know, connected with his family, so it does not belong to his family. And in so many different ways, Gurudev, he protected Srila Prabhupada's disciples and Srila Prabhupada's mission. He continued, and he came to the West especially for this, to help and re-inspire everyone. Gurudev was saying, everyone has become so weak. I'm coming here to remind you of Srila Prabhupada's glories. And what he did, I heard many times from Srila Prabhupada's disciples, how Gurudev came and he opened up this treasure chest, isn't it, of Srila Prabhupada's books. Gurudev used to say that the key is in the hands of the sadhu. So Srila Gurudev had the key to Srila Prabhupada's books, but especially to Srila Prabhupada's heart. And he kind of made sure that every one of his disciples understood what is this goal, what is our parampara about, what is this. You know, he explained the difference between Rupanuga, Raganuga, Bhakti or Bhajan. I don't know. He explained everything, really. Anyway, and but the way he did that, he wasn't like a very strong teacher that was just like, you know, you have to do like this. He was very, very soft and sweet, and I remember for myself, like I was still quite young. I came to Gurudev when I was 10. So growing up as a teenager, I would always be like, waiting for Gurudev's next festival. It was, that was just the thing. Like there were so many disciples, so many followers of Gurudev, but Gurudev always managed to give everyone that special attention that, they needed, and that special impression that they needed, so that they wouldn't feel inspired and they wanted to come and listen to Srila Gurudev's Harikatha. And yeah, one time I heard one devotee, she was saying that when she first came to Krishna consciousness, she got like a little taster of Harinam. When you go to the shop and they advertise this new product, and they give you like a sample, like to try a little bit, and if you like it, you can go and buy the product. So in the same way, this devotee, she explained how when most devotees, when they come to Krishna consciousness, they get a little taster, a little sample of something. And this devotee was saying that, like, when she first started Krishna consciousness, her chanting was, she just experienced a lot of ecstasy and bliss, and it was really deep, her chanting. And then she noticed that after some time, it went away, and she didn't experience that anymore. But then from that, she had been practicing for so many years, just with the hope to get that taste back. So I'm thinking about that, I was thinking, I don't have any magical experience like that. I never had any like taste for chanting, but then actually thinking about it, I think that's what Gurudev did. He came and he gave this taste with his love and affection. And that he just was so kind to everyone, and at the same time giving this goal that everyone was, yay, I want to practice. And then, when Gurudev left, it's like this taster was finished, and now we actually have to work and, start the process and accumulate money to again one day have this experience, this love of Srila Gurudev. And we have to go deeper into our heart and actually not only look at his beautiful blue eyes and his sweet smile and how peaceful I feel when Gurudev isn't there, but actually I have to look in my heart and try to connect with his teachings, understanding that everything that happens around me is Gurudev's arrangement and is his love and affection. And Gurudev, most of the time, he used to say, I want you to apply these teachings. I don't want you to just externally do all the activities, but actually from your heart, connect with it, apply these teachings, because it is going to work. Many devotees, they had been practicing for many years, like 30 years, 40 years, and they had lost some hope, they had lost some faith. But Gurudev came and he said, actually, you have to, there is a loophole in your chanting, your practice, then you have to check your pulse and see what is happening. Why are you not progressing? Because Gurudev is saying, look, he is very boldly, he's saying, look at me, I have been practicing, and from the beginning I started chanting 64 rounds, and from the beginning I was absorbed, and I can say, Gurudev was saying, I can say that I have so much realization, and I know that this process works, and if you are following as I'm telling you, then also you will experience this. You have put your faith in me, Gurudev used to say. And in that connection, I just wanted to end with reading something very small from Srila Gurudev. Sorry, one second, try to find it. Srila Gurudev, I found this very beautiful. Gurudev, he's actually promising us that he's taking responsibility for us. This was a lecture Gurudev gave in Australia in 2002. And he's saying, why have I come here? And why am I traveling here and there? Why have I invited everyone to come here? And why am I touring everywhere in the world? What is my mood and mission? Why am I journeying at this old age? Isn't that Gurudev when he was very old? he came out of Vrindavan, he left Vrindavan. So he's saying, why? Because not all of you can go to Vrindavan to meet me. I have come to you. Local persons and foreigners, children, girls, boys, and old persons are all coming here to meet me. If I do not come, all will be weak. So Gurudeva is saying, everyone will be engaged in sense gratification, and they will give no importance to religious topics and activities. They will forget all these things. Sometimes, therefore, Krishna sends his many associates. For example, Narad Rishi is always touring here and there, and this is the tradition of our Guru Parampara. This is why I have come. I think this is very important still also, because now that Gurudeva is not physically here, we can still remember that actually this is why he came. You know, so even though he's not physically coming again, still we need to connect with this and, you know, make him proud of us. Like he used to say, I want to be proud of you. I don't want to be worried of you. So Gurudeva is saying, don't sleep. Maya is everywhere, like a tiger, ready to swallow you. Try to know all the spiritual truths and go on chanting and remembering. This will save you. Your money and worldly qualifications can never help you. We have come to remind you of this. Sri Nityananda Prabhu used to go with Srila Haridas Thakur to tell everyone, you should chant the holy name and you will very easily cross the ocean of birth and death. Everything will be okay and all problems will vanish. If you do not get this result, I am responsible. That's Nityananda Prabhu saying. So Gurudev is saying, I am also telling you the same thing. Chant. All responsibility will be on me if you are not happy. If you chant in the correct process, in the process I have been explaining to you, you must be happy. So with this, I would like to just, you know, pray and also ask everyone for their blessings that one day I will actually apply Sri Gurudev's teachings and follow properly, not just like a parrot repeat something that I've heard, but actually take it into my heart. And yeah. Thank you very much. Hari Bol.
Howdy, Bol. Well, they say Dutch courage, right? So
Carrot.
Dutch courage. It's
Courage.
Dutch courage. Yeah. I didn't get a hint of nerves, did he? That was fantastic. I'm so glad that you finally accepted the challenge. And I really felt when asking you how much Gurudev wanted you to speak, and how it was beautiful because you went back to the basics, which were how Gurudev, I've heard him referred to as the Preyojana Guru, the Preyojana Acharya, you know, reminding us of our goal. And the philosopher, the German philosopher who Rakshak Shridamaraj particularly liked was a gentleman called Hegel, and he used to refer to human beings as teleological beings, which means beings governed by purpose. When we have purpose, when we have the goal, everything else in the universe then arranges itself to reach that goal. And Gurudev understood that and preached that, taught us that beautifully, because I remember in '96, Gurudev talking about the goal, and I had no idea what any of these meanings were, but just putting in that seed of the goal in my mind that so early on has really governed and shaped my entire Krishna consciousness. So it was really beautiful to be reminded of the importance of knowing your goal, being meditating on your goal, and therefore being driven and inspired to develop greed for that goal. So that was really a very beautiful sharing, Didi. And I know Gurudev is very, very, very happy with you. So you should be filled with his love and grace and mercy right now. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Yashadari, did you want to add anything to that if your internet's working?
Yeah, if you can hear me, excuse the noise, but Manjukeshi, like, if anyone's ever visited the Ganga Matas or spent any time there, they will understand that Manjukeshi Didi is someone that is always, you know, loving and always warm when you meet her. And, you know, her Harikatha is also like this. Every time you listen to her, it's like listening to, she is the darling daughter of Srila Gurudev, and she's a great example of a darling daughter of Srila Gurudev. You can see that in her. So thank you, Manjukeshi, and I can't wait to see you. I miss you.
Miss you too, Yash.
And there's also, you mentioned something about how Gurudev liked his daughters to be, you know, like lionesses, not like little kittens. And he said, yeah, I think you have sometimes provoked the guys by saying, you know, my daughters are stronger than my sons, you know. It was beautiful. I loved it. It was great. Really wonderful. So our next and final speaker is zooming in from, I believe, Switzerland, Prabhu, I think so. And he looks like he's in a lovely kunj there, very nice backdrop. Everybody, I'm sure, knows him. He has a very high profile. In 1985, he came to Bhakti Yoga, and in 1991, he served under Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj. And then in 1996, he came into Srila Gurudev's Sangha after Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj's disappearance. And then Gurudev started traveling in the West. And I remember him going all the way back then. He's actually stayed with me in my house. We had quite a lot of fun. I think we did some boxing together, didn't we, Prabhu? I seem to remember. Yeah, and he's a storehouse of knowledge and has preached and taught and helped people around the world. And we're very happy to hear his glorification of Srila Gurudev. I hand you over. Oh, and thank you very much to his wife for arranging for him to speak, because I don't believe he has a mobile phone. So without reaching her and her arrangements, he wouldn't be here today. So I'm very happy to bring to you Sriman Prem Preyojana Prabhu from Switzerland. Hari Bol, Prabhu. So nice to see you. Dandavats.
Nama Shrestam Manamapi Ishati Putram Atra Surupam Rupam Tasyagraja Muripurim Mathurim Gostuvatim Radha Kunda Magirivaram Oh Radhika Madhuvasam Prapto Yasya Pratita Kripaya Sri Guru Tam Natosmi Gurave Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Tadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namah Ananda Lila Maya Vigrahaya Hema Bhadevyatschavi Sundaraya Tasmai Mahaprema Rasapradaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Sham Sundar Shikanda Shekhar Smaraha Sumurli Manohara Radhika Rasakamama Kripanade Supriya Charna King Kurim Kuru Tavevasmi Najivami Tayavana Iti Vikyaya Devi Tam Nayamam Charanantikam. First of all, I offer my Sastang Dandavat Puspanjali, my heart like flowers, thousands and thousands of times, at the lotus feet of my holy master, my supremely worshipable spiritual Gurudev, Asmadiya Paramaradya Tamaguru Pada Padma, Nitilila Pravisht Om Vishnupad Ashtotara Satasri, Rupanuga Acharya Varya, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. Secondly, I offer my pranam thousands of times at the lotus feet of my Param Gurudev and to Srila Prabhupada and to all of our Sri Rupanuga Gaudiya Guru Parampara. And finally, I offer my pranam to all the assembled Vaisnavas and Vaishnavis around the world who have gathered together to be absorbed in devotion for our most beloved Gurudev. Vanchakalpaturubhasta kripa sindhu bhyavacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Srila Gurudev himself was exemplary in all activities. So it was his habit when speaking about any Vaishnava or about his Guru to describe Guru Tattva, the Akhanda Guru Tattva, and then give the example how that Guru is the instantiation of the individual manifestation of the Akhanda Guru Tattva with the anecdotes and pastimes from his life. So in Srimad Bhagavatam it is said, Yasya Sakshat Bhagavati Jnana Deepa Pradhe Guru Matya Sadhi Srutam Tasya Sarvam Kunjara Sochavat. The spiritual master, Yasya Sakshat Bhagavati, he is directly the Supreme Lord himself manifesting. He is Krishna Kripa Srimurti. The mercy of the Supreme Lord has come to us in the form of Sri Guru. Jnana Deepa Pradhe Guru. And Sri Guru is that person, Gyan Deep, who gives the light of transcendental knowledge. That means that material experience, that is the samsaric asakti, the darkness of attachment to material objects. But Guru dispels that darkness of attachment by introducing the light of praying, the light of love for Krishna. So such a person, Matya Saddhi Srutam Tasya, if the disciple thinks his Guru is an ordinary human being, or even if he thinks he's not ordinary, he's a great sage who's very learned in the scriptures, then all of his knowledge of scripture, all of his study of the Vedas is useless, like the bathing of an elephant who was dusty, goes into the river, washes off the dust, and then comes out and covers himself with dust again. In other words, that disciple can never come out of the entanglement of material consciousness, while any trace of a mundane conception towards Sri Guru is lingering there anywhere within his heart. So it is essential that the Srila Vishwanath Thakur said, the disciple should have the conception that my Guru is not only a manifestation of Bhagavan, of Hari, because Krishna has many, many incarnations, but he should think he's the manifestation of Brajendanandan Shama Sundar, the origin of all the avatars. His very mercy personified has come into my life in the form of my Gurudev. Then, if he will serve in this mood, all success will come in spiritual life. In the Upanishads it is said, Yasya Devi Parabhakti Yatha Devi Tathagaro Tasyaiti Katta Hyata Prakashante Mahatmana. For one, just as he has devotion to Krishna, he has the same amount of devotion to his Gurudev. Then all the mysteries, all the secrets of the scripture become manifest in the heart of that person. But we can say that the Padma Purana goes a step further, that one should not have such devotion to the Guru only equal to God, but Yatha Bhakti Haro Meisti Tad Varista Guru Yadi Mamastitena Satyena Sandashayatu Me Hari. It is a devotee prays there, oh my Lord, if it is true that as I am devoted to you, I have even more devotion to Gurudev than to you, then may you appear before me at once. And then the Supreme Lord appeared to that devotee. So the scripture speaks of Guru in such a way that the success of the disciple's life is to love and serve and be surrendered to Guru even more than to Krishna. So how Gurudev himself was the manifestation before us in this world, and how he is eternally the embodiment of the Akhanda Guru Tattva is best explained by Gurudev himself, because Gurudev would explain Guru Tattva and show to us the true meaning of Guru Tattva by his beautiful katha and by the example of his life. So I'm remembering once there was a research scholar. He was writing a PhD thesis on gurus, and he was traveling all over India and all over the world interviewing various gurus. He was from, I believe, Finland, Dr. Mansbru. So he came to Vrindavan, and he approached me. He said, oh, can you arrange for me to meet with Srila Narayan Raj? So I said, yes, please wait. So then I went, I spoke with Gurudev, and some meeting was arranged. So then Gurudev, he was sitting on a chair in front of the beautiful paintings of Seva Kunj in Rup Sanatan Gaudiya Math. And on one side, a group of disciples were sitting there chanting. And then I brought this scholar there and he sat down at Gurudev's feet. And before, he'd shown me the questions that he wanted to ask. And so I was very eager, I was very excited to hear Gurudev answer these questions, because these were the kind of questions that I think a disciple would never ask his guru. They were kind of bold and in your face, and perhaps could be taken in a way that was faithless. So a disciple doesn't ask that type of question. So I was wondering how Gurudev will respond. So he sat down in front of Gurudev and he said, the first question was, how do you know that your guru is bona fide? So obviously we would never ask Gurudev, how do you know that Srila Bhakti Pragyan Kesh Maharaj is bona fide? It's not a question a disciple would ask, but this scholar posed this question to Gurudev. So when Gurudev heard it, then he closed his eyes and he went into a very grave mood. You're all very familiar with the Gurudev's gravity. It could pervade the whole atmosphere around him. So then Gurudev said, if you have left everything, if you have given your life day and night following the instructions of your spiritual master and chanting and remembering under his guidance for 60 years, as I have, then you will know whether or not your guru is bona fide. He said, I have realized it, the transcendental position of my spiritual master. So it is a fact that we cannot get all knowledge even at once. It is said that knowledge comes in 4 ways. First of all, Guru gives instruction. And then on top of that, the disciple, he has to study. That is the second quarter of the knowledge. Then the third quarter of the knowledge comes from discussing that knowledge with his god brothers. And then the fourth as part of the knowledge comes only with time. Everything cannot come at once. So Gurudev's instructions, your own study, discussion with your god brothers and god sisters, and then be patient, wait, and all realization will come. So then his next question was, when did you decide to be guru? Then Gurudev, he shook his head, he said, I am actually not a guru. So then that scholar pointed towards Gurudev's disciples and said, well, who are all these disciples then? Gurudev said, they are not my disciples. They are my friends. And together we are making an atmosphere which is favorable for bhajan. So the disciple has one perspective towards his Gurudev, but the Gurudev has another perspective towards the disciples. He never has the abhiman that he himself is guru. So then the next question. That scholar said, so at the end of your life, when you go to Goloka Vrindavan, who will be the next Acharya? Now, this sentence has 2 parts. At the end of your life, when you go to Goloka Vrindavan, who will be the next Acharya? But Gurudev got stuck. His mind was stuck and focused on the first part. He said, when I leave, I will not go to Goloka Vrindavan, but I am praying that in my next life, I can become a blade of grass on the bank of the Jamuna. So when the Vaisnavas are doing parikrama of Vrindavan, I will get their foot dust. Everyone was shaken to the core by Gurudev's gravity, by Srila Gurudev's humility, by Srila Gurudev's realization. So this type of association with the Mahabhagavat, only this type of association can give one an insight into what Guru Tattva really means. So many verses of Shastra can describe outwardly in theory, but unless one has experience in one's life of Sadguru, the scriptures can never be understood. Srila Gurudev used to say that the Sadhguru has such affectionate relationships with all of his disciples, and that he has a skill, and that is that he makes every single disciple feel as if Gurudev loves me the most. So, of course, that is a contradiction. But though it's a contradiction, it's still true. Why? Because spiritual life is not mathematics. It doesn't have to add up like that. It is a question of bhav. So those disciples who associated with Srila Gurudev very closely all had that experience that, oh, it's as if he loves me the most. I met Srila Gurudev first time in 1991. I was on parikrama, the Navadvip parikrama of ISKCON. At that time, there was good relationships with the Gaudiya Math, and the whole parikrama party came to Devananda Gaudiya Math. I remember Gurudev was sitting there with thousands of devotees. As you know, Navadvip parikrama is a huge event. And Srila Gurudev was speaking in such a way. I was astonished. I had never heard anything like this before. He was saying that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is mantra vistarini. That means that in one word of his mantra, only in the syllable kling, that syllable opens out and he sees the whole of Vrindavan there. So this made a very deep impression on me. And then after some time, I was, as you know, under the guidance of Srila Gurudeva Maharaj until 96, when Srila Gurudeva Maharaj manifested his astonishing disappearance pastime. And then he inspired me to come to the lotus feet of Srila Gurudev. So Srila Gurudev's preaching was miraculous. He very kindly kept me with him and took me on the many world tours. About 24 times I had to go all over the world with Gurudev to very many countries and see what was going on. People cannot, who don't have faith in Gurudev, cannot understand how his preaching, it wasn't a propaganda. His preaching was not on the material platform, but his preaching was by pure bhakti shakti, just the power of Samvit and Ladini. The Shuddha Sattva, Vishuddha Sattva Visheshatma, transcendental bhav was emanating from Gurudev and changing everyone that he met in a miraculous way. Not only that, but I experienced many times when I was traveling with him, I would meet a devotee and they would say that before Gurudev came there, he appeared in their dream and preached to them. And so before he arrived, they're already clamoring to meet him and surrender at his lotus feet. So Gurudev didn't even have to be seen by anyone or influence them even by his presence. He could do it at a distance. He was not limited by time and space in any way. And this experience I had many times. So the first time Srila Gurudev went to Australia, before he arrived, there was one devotee there. Gurudev was going to stay in his house. So that devotee, he thought, I should make my house nice and I should prepare the garden so it's all nice when he comes. And he'd never met Gurudev before. He did not consider him his guru even, only he thought, let me host this Vaisnava. So he took a strimmer, and the grass was long in his garden. He took a strimmer and he was strimming down the grass with this machine. And he came at the end of the garden, and he was there in the long grass, and a snake was there. And by accident, he killed the snake with the strimmer. So then the next day, Srila Gurudev arrived, and in the morning, Gurudev wanted to go on a walk. So he was walking around the garden, and it was a bit uneven, so he was keeping his hand on the shoulder of that devotee. And as they were walking to that exact spot where the day before he'd killed the snake, but he never told anyone, Gurudev stopped and he looked at him. He said, do you have snakes in Australia? So then his heart jumped out. He said, yes, but still he didn't say anything. Then Gurudev looked in his eyes and said, don't kill them. So then that devotee who he did not have a strong faith in Gurudev, already Gurudev was working on his heart and showing him, oh, I am a transcendental, supernatural personality. So I'm remembering this pastime because there was Gurudev himself illustrated in a beautiful way the nature of Guru Tattva. In the morning program, Gurudev sat and he was chanting japa, the informal just darshan, and some devotees came in and sat down at his feet. So as we know that when Gurudev looks at us, he can see right into the core of our heart. Why? Because he's already there in the heart. Sri Guru is like the Paramatma. Yam prabrajantam anupaitam apaita krityam dvaipayano virakatara ajuhava putreti tanmatayo taravo binedus tang sarva bhuta hridayam muni adnatosmi. As Sutta Goswami said, oh, I bow down to my Guru Shukadeva Goswami, who can enter into the heart of all living beings and speak to me through them. So Gurudev looked at that person, and that person was in a state of some confusion in his spiritual life. And Gurudev pointed to him and he said, your heart is divided. And what? What do you mean? And the reason is this. His Harinam Guru was Srila Prabhupada. His Diksha Guru was Srila Bhaktirakshak Shrida Maharaj. And Gurudev was his Shiksha Guru. So he had three gurus, but he could not reconcile these three personalities in his life and understand, well, who do I serve, who do I worship, who do I follow? They've all given different presentations and so on. So Gurudev could see this. And so he said, your heart is divided. He said, but you should solve it. You should reconcile it in this way. And Gurudev gave an example from his own life. He said, when I used to sit at the lotus feet of my Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshava Goswami, sometimes he would be speaking about Vedanta Sutra. And when I listened to his explanation of the Vedanta Sutra, at that time, I looked and it was exactly as if Baladev Vidyabhushan, the commentator of Vedanta Sutra, had appeared there and was explaining Vedanta Sutra to me. Then, when my Gurudev was explaining about Bhakti Tattva, sometimes I looked at him and it was just as if Srila Jiva Goswami Pad himself, who has written Bhakti Sandarbha, was explaining Bhakti Tattva to me. And at other times, I would look at my Gurudev and he would be telling sweet pastimes of Radha Krishna and explaining Rasa Tattva. And at that time, I felt as if Srila Rupa Goswami Pad himself was speaking to me. So in this way, the Sadhguru is the embodiment of Akhanda Guru Tattva. And all the personalities of the Guru Parampara are present there. And he is a transparent divine media for their voices. You should reconcile it in this way. So think about it, consider it very deeply. And because this is such a beautiful description of Guru Tattva. Even in scripture, you cannot find anything so sweet. I'm remembering how one morning I was in Mathura and on the top floor, staying in one room there, and I was sitting and I was chanting japa in the morning time. And from time to time, I would look at one book that is called the Gora Radha Govinda Archan Smaran Padati of Jnana Chandra Goswami. So now and then I was looking at that book and then sitting and chanting. So some of you may be familiar with that text. So in the meantime, a big, how can we say, a bit of a scandal or something was going on. I had no idea about what was going on. One young girl, devotee, probably you all know her. I don't, if I mention her name, she won't mind, I'm sure. Madhavi from Alachua. She'd gone and she was sitting chanting outside of the room of Didi. So my window was here And then there was an alleyway behind, and then there was Didi's room. So she went and she sat down outside Didi's door, and she was chanting there because she had so much respect for Didi. So she said she was there for that reason. And Gurudev was on a morning walk, and some devotees came to him and said, oh, that one girl is chanting outside the window of Prem Preyojana. Now, my window was closed. It had wooden shutters, so I didn't see or know anything. And when Gurudev came back from his morning walk, he went up to the top floor, and he went directly there and came and he punched her, actually in the face even, and told her, get out, get out, get out. So I didn't know anything, but later I was considering how Srila Gurudev was very, very protective to his brahmacharis and sannyasis who are staying in the mat, very, very protective. So then about half an hour later, there was a knock on my door. Oh, Srila Gurudev is calling you, please come to his room. So then I got up and I left behind that book, the Padati of Jnana Chandra Goswami, and there was a question I wanted to ask Gurudev. So I picked up one old Sanskrit book a sannyasi had given to me called Sankalpa Kalpa Druma. It's a collection of many Sanskrit verses, only in Sanskrit. It was a very old book, and the cover was falling apart. I was looking for a verse there, so this sannyasi gave me this book with the cover that was broken and falling apart. So I thought, I want to ask Gurudev a question from this, so let me bring this with me. So I picked up that book and I went into Gurudev's room. So I gave pranam at his lotus feet. And then Gurudev said, we don't follow that book. And of course I have a book in my hand. So I said, this book? He said, no, 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 not that book. Dhyana Chandra Goswami's Padati. And then I was so astonished that Gurudev, though he was in his room there, he knew what book I was reading in another room with all the doors and windows closed. And as soon as he said, no, 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 we don't follow that. So there are many examples in those devotees who are associated closely with Gurudev, how he knew everything that we were doing and how he knew every secret thought in our mind, every movement of our heart. Gurudev himself said, I am closer to you than the air you breathe. So then, after we had a discussion, then Gurudev pointed to the book I was carrying, and he said, this book has a torn cover. That is an offense. And I said, I'm sorry, Gurudev, this is not my book. Someone just gave it to me. He said, look, this is what you should do. If you have a scripture and it's old, you should repair the cover, make it nicely, and cover it with decorative cloth. The scripture should be dressed beautifully because it's like a deity. And he said, and if you always have this mood of respect towards the scripture and dress your books beautifully, then you'll see that Shastra has kripa. In other words, when you are reading, then the Shastra itself will bestow mercy on you. So that leads me to another very beautiful exchange that I had the good fortune to have with Gurudev. Once Gurudev was in Hawaii and I had been preaching somewhere else, and I flew in and I arrived there. As soon as I arrived, some devotees came to me and said, oh, do you want to come on a boat to see whales, to go whale watching? So I said, no, I come here on Gurudev's order for preaching, for doing prachar. I'm not going to waste my time in any things like this. I said, okay. He said, because there are only room for about a dozen people on the boat. So we gave you priority, but if you don't want to come, no problem. So then he went away. Then afterwards, I found out that Gurudev himself was going on this boat, watching the whales. So then one devotee came to Gurudev and said, Gurudev, Prem Preyojana said that going on this boat is Maya, because we have come here to do service. So it looked as if I had made some criticism towards Gurudev, but it was not, the situation was not like that. So everyone went, and most of the devotees there at the festival couldn't go. So Gurudev told me, you stay behind and you give a class to them so the morning will not be wasted. So I stayed behind and gave class. And then Gurudev came back. So then afterwards, I went into his room. Gurudev called me and I came there. He said, did you say that I have gone in a boat and it is not Anya Abhilasta Shunyam Jnana Kama Dyanavritam? I said, no, Gurudev. I said, I came here to serve you and I did not know that you were going there. He said, okay, okay. I said, but Gurudev, I do have one question. I have one question. Why did you want to go and see a whale? Because it's an interesting thing. Gurudev's traveling everywhere. He's following Rupa Goswami. Why would he go on a tourist rented boat out in the ocean in Hawaii to go whale watching? It seems like a strange thing. So then Gurudev said to me, he said, in Chaitanya Chardamrita, there Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Pad has described that when Krishna left Vrindavan and went to Mathura, then the ocean of the gopis' love, the love of gopis in separation was like a huge ocean with huge waves. And the gopis were being tossed here and there by the waves in this ocean of separation. And in that ocean, there were Timingila fish. So a Timingila fish is a huge aquatic animal. It is so big, it can even swallow whales. He said, so Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami said that the calm, that is the intense desire of the gopis to please Krishna through their amorous services. So the calm of the gopis is like a Timingila fish in that ocean, and it keeps attacking and swallowing them. So he said, so for this reason, after hearing this katha, which was described by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, I wanted to go and see what a whale is like as a udipana to remember this bhav, this separation of Braja Gopis. So when I heard this, I became overjoyed. And then Gurudev said a very wonderful thing. He said, I am very happy that you asked me this question because no one asked me this question. He said, I am happy that you are not afraid to inquire on these things from me, because when I was a young devotee, I was also not afraid. I always used to go to my Gurudev and ask questions again and again. Even if Gurudev would say something, then sometimes respectfully, if I saw something else in scripture that seemed to be different, then I would say, but Gurudev, in the scripture it says this. And I would not challenge him, not in a challenging mood, but initiate some back and forth on make a purva paksha. In other words, make an opposing argument so that the siddhanta can be established. So then Gurudev said, I always used to ask my Gurudev questions like this, sometimes the difficult questions, and I was never afraid. And you are also like that. So I am very pleased. Then, in contrast to that experience, some years later, we're in Mathura. And at that time, I was studying the Priti Sandarbha of Srila Jiva Goswami, and I had some questions for Srila Gurudev. So I went into his room, and he was sitting on his bed in his bhajan kutir. I sat down at his feet, and then I showed him the Sanskrit text, and we were going through some verses, and I was asking a lot of questions. And then Gurudev said, why are you always asking questions? Gurudev said, I never asked questions to my Gurudev. So then I reminded Gurudev, I said, Gurudev, do you remember when that time when you went to see the whale, you said to me that you always used to ask questions to your Gurudev and you were never afraid, and that I should always ask you questions. And today you are saying, why are you asking questions? I never ask questions to my Gurudev. So Gurudev, how can I reconcile your two instructions on these two occasions? Then Gurudev said, actually, there were two phases in my life. He said, my first phase was when I left my home and I came to Navadvip and I lived with my Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Kesha Maharaj. I traveled with him to many places and I was hearing from him, studying, and I used to ask him many questions. But then, after some time, he sent me and put me in charge of the mutt in Mathura. At that time, I was now very far away physically, and I had no opportunity to ask questions. And Gurudev gave me the service of translating Jaiva Dharma and other books. So Gurudev was explaining that when I was translating Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Bengali Jaiva Dharma into Hindi, then at that time I would read something and I wasn't sure what it meant. And my Gurudev was very far away in Navadvip and I was in Braj Mandal. So what could I do? At that time, I used to fold my hands, and Gurudev, he folded his hands. And I closed my eyes and I prayed, oh Gurudev, please reveal to me, what does Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur mean here? What is he describing? And after praying to my Gurudev, then always he would inspire me and the meaning would appear in my heart. So in this way, Srila Gurudev described that Shastra has kripa, and also Guru's kripa is there. If there's something we don't understand, we can ask Vaisnavas, but if that opportunity isn't there, just close your eyes and pray, and Gurudev will come in your heart and inspire you with the answer. So, oh, Yashodananda and Prabhu, do we have more time or no?
How much more time would you like, Prabhu?
Gurudev's glories are unlimited, so you come and
go for another 5
until that point.
Either end there or another 5 minutes, up to you.
Acha, if you agree, I'll speak just another 5 minutes.
Perfect. Yeah, perfect.
Srila Gurudev has so many specialities. He has aprakrita nishta. That means a supernatural faith, a supernatural fixity in so many tattvas. His guru nishta is aprakrita. His nam nishta, his faith in the name. Sadhu sangha nishta, his faith in the power of sadhu sangha. His dham nishta, his faith in the dham. Actually, each one of these nishtas itself can be a whole class. His gopi nishta, his faith in Braj gopis, and especially his radha nishta, his strong determination and loyalty to Srimati Radharani. And that came out when Gurudev would speak on any subject. He would speak on many things, if it was Dhruva Maharaj or Prahlad Maharaj, Ambarish Maharaj. But in the end, he would always come to the point, to the Preyojana, that is Radha Dasyam. Our goal of life is the service of Radharani. So Gurudev used to say that the gopis are so glorious that if you are just touched by the air that has touched the katar, glorifying the gopis from the mouth of a pure Vaishnava, if that air will touch you, then there is no doubt at all, very soon you will attain Krishna Prem and go to Goloka Vrindavan in this life or the next life. So his nishta was in the glories of a gopis was so powerful. Once a devotee asked him, oh Gurudev, can I worship Lord Nishingadev? And Gurudev said, why do you want to worship Lord Nishingadev? You should worship Lalita Saki. She's more ferocious than Lord Nishingadev. Oh, once, I remember we were in Govardhan, and in the early days when we used to stay in Modi Bhavan before the temple was built there, and Gurudev invited some sadhus from outside to come, and they were glorifying Govardhan. So one sadhu began to sing a poem in Braj Bhasha. He said, Radha tu barabhagini, kon kap tapasya kin, tena lokatana tana, so tere adin. So this Braj Bhasha poem says that, oh Srimati Radhika, what austerities have you performed that Krishna, who is the Lord of all the three worlds, has become subordinate to you? So Gurudev, he didn't even, this is a famous poem, but Gurudev didn't listen to the end of the poem. When that sadhu from outside began to sing, Radhe tu barabhagini, kon tapasya kin, oh Radharani, you are so fortunate. What austerities have you performed? Gurudev immediately stopped him. He said, no, don't say that. Don't say, Radharani, you are so fortunate. What austerities have you performed? You should say, Krishna, you are so fortunate. What austerities have you performed that you can associate with my Radharani? So Gurudev's never allowed any slip. Nothing could slip by him that minimized the glories of Radhika in any way or put Krishna into a superior position. So I only have a very few minutes. So I want to just touch on one more very confidential pastime. Perhaps you know that Gurudev used to say, if you chant Harinam, then Yoga Kshema Vahamyaham, whatever you need in your life, if you leave all things and just chant Hare Krishna, whatever you need, Krishna will bring it. Gurudev said, I have this experience in my life. And the example he gave is that many years ago, when his Gurudev was still in this world, Gurudev was in charge of the Keshavji Gaudiya Math. So at one point, Gurudev just disappeared from the Math. And you may have heard sometimes some devotees who have tried to discredit Gurudev and criticize Gurudev, they say that once he left his guru and he went to Babaji's in Radhakund, and then he got teachings there, and then he came back and he's giving some teaching which is not in our line. Some persons have tried to make some discredit of Gurudev here. But everyone should know what really actually happened. So Gurudev used to say that once I went to Govardhan with nothing, with no money, no food. And at that time, there was a flood, there was heavy rain, everything became flooded. I didn't know where to go. And at that time, one panda, that is our Giridhari Panda, now he passed away, but he was the panda of our Parikrama party of Gurudev, and his father was the panda of Param Gurudev, and his father was the panda of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, their family, and his father was the panda of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Govardhan. So our line and this family of pandas in Govardhan have a long history together. So when Gurudev came there, he said, the panda met with me and he said, oh, I'll give you a place to stay, and took him to one deserted house near Manasi Ganga and said, you can stay there. And he was bringing Giriraj Mahaprasad to Gurudev there. And Gurudev was chanting Harinam day and night and weeping. And actually, this is the place where Srila Gurudev had the pastime of attaining his siddhi, his Swarup siddhi, his perfection. Just like Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, between the age of 31 and 41, from 1905 to 1915, chanted 1 billion names in that place called Brajapatan in Navadvip. That was the place where Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur had his pastime of becoming a siddha. Of course, our acharyas, they're all nitya siddha, coming to this world, but they have that pastime. Perhaps you know, when Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur passed away from this world, became unmanifest, he was in Calcutta, and it was our Param Gurudev who brought him there to Brajapatan and put him in Samadhi, because it is a desire of the Vaishnava that they want to be in Samadhi in that place where they attain their siddhi. So this broken old house was very, very dear to Gurudev, because it was a place where he had his leela of attaining his siddhi. And many years ago, I had the opportunity, I also ran away from the mat, disappeared without telling anyone, and went to that house and stayed there for a few days chanting, only to remember Gurudev. So now, at that time, Gurudev was doing his bhajan there. This is where this rumor comes about Gurudev. So I was wondering, what is the true story of this? And I knew that in this world, at that time, there was a Vaishnava who was still alive and very close to Gurudev who must know about this. So that is Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj. So just about a couple of years before Srila Pujapad Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj left this world, on Radhastami, he came to Govardhan and he did Abhishek of Radharani there. and he was laying the foundation stone of a new mat at Govardhan, somewhere close to Yatipur. So I went there to that festival, and after he did the Abhishek, he went into his room, and Srila Bhaktivedanta Bharati Maharaj is very old now and about to leave this world. He was lying on his bed in his room. So at that time, actually, Madhav Priya Prabhu was serving him, and we were quite close. So I asked him, oh, can you arrange? I want to speak very privately with Srila Bhaktivedanta Bharati Maharaj. So he said, yes, yes, of course, come. So then I went inside, and I knelt down at the side of the bed of Srila Bhaktivedanta Bharati Maharaj. And I said, Maharaj, I have a question. And in the whole world, only you can answer this question. When Gurudev was younger, he left the mat and he went and he did bhajan alone at Govardhan, at Manasiganga. So can you tell me what was happened at that time? Because you were associated with him in those days. So then Maharaj very mercifully explained to me the whole very beautiful pastime. First of all, he said that in those days, Srila Gurudev felt that some other devotees in the mat, they were not appreciating his service, and they were making some problems for him and some obstacles in his bhajan. So he wanted to go and spend some time alone and go deeply into the holy names. So without telling anyone anything, he went there to Manasiganga and did bhajan in that house. But there's one person he told, and who is that? Srila Bhaktivedanta Bharati Maharaj said, he told me. Because at that time, Gurudev was feeling an intense urge to study the Ujjwala Nilamani of Rupa Goswami with the commentary of Jiva Goswami, Lochan Rochini, and the commentary of Vishwacharya Thakur, Ananda Chandrika. But in those days, that book was very rare. It was almost impossible to get a copy of that book and the commentaries. So Srila Bhaktivedanta Bharati Maharaj said, while Gurudev was staying in Manasiganga, that he wrote a letter to him and said, please, can you find a copy of this book for me and bring it to me or send it to me some way. So then Srila Bhaktivedanta Bharati Maharaj, he said, I had this fortunate service. And he said, I went to so many bookshops, the esoteric scriptural bookshops in Delhi, where the scholars go. I could not find it anywhere. I went in Mathura, Vrindavan, I could not find it anywhere. He said, in the end, I went to Calcutta. And there are some scholarly places there where they have many books. He said, and there in Calcutta, I found a copy of this Ujjwala Nilamani with these two tikas. And then I sent this to Srila Narayan Maharaj. So then I said to him, oh Maharaj, some people say that when Srila Bhakti Pragyan Kesha Maharaj found out that my Gurudev had gone away from the mat, that he was very upset. So what happened? Srila Bhaktivedanta Bharati Maharaj said, I was there when the news came to Srila Bhakti Pragyan Kesha Maharaj that Srila Narayan Maharaj had disappeared somewhere. He said, I was there. And he said, and I saw that when the devotees told this to Srila Bhakti Pragyan Kesha Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Kesha Maharaj began to tremble and he was weeping. Many, many tears were flowing from his eyes. And Srila Bhaktivedanta Bharati Maharaj, he said, you should understand this pastime in this way. During the Rasa Leela, Krishna disappeared and all Braj Gopis were weeping. So he has many reasons for doing that, many rasic reasons, but one outer reason is this, that how deep is the love for the Braj Gopis? For Krishna, no one can know. But at the time of separation, their hearts are broken and that love pours out. And then someone can see how great is their love. So Krishna, one of the reasons Krishna disappeared from the rasa, so that all gopis would become maddened in separation, and then the world would know something about the greatness of their love. He said, so in a similar way, you should see it in this way, that the Supreme Lord, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, has arranged for this pastime when Srila Narayan Maharaj disappeared from the mat, And Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshe Maharaj was crying in order to reveal to the whole world how deep was the love of Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshe Maharaj for Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj. So I became overjoyed hearing his description. And then he said, so don't have any doubt. He said, Srila Narayan Maharaj told me that he did meet with the Babas in the Manasi Ganga. That is the line of Priyacharana Das Babaji and Manohar Das Babaji. And he was trying to explain to them the Vichardhara, the current of the conception of Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur. He said, but they would not change. They would not hear it. And he said, and the proof that Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshe Maharaj has complete faith in your Gurudev is this, that after he completed his bhajan and his leela of attaining his siddhi, when he came back to the mat, then Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshe Maharaj re-established him as the head of the Keshavji Gaudiya Mat for the rest of his pastimes during this world. So in this way, by this pastime, the very beautiful relationship between our Gurudev and Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshe Maharaj has been manifest before the people of the world. So in this way, I am offering my Shraddha Pushpanjali, my heart like flowers, thousands of times at the feet of Srila Gurudev. I am a conditioned soul. I cannot touch the ocean of his glories, but somehow or other, by his mercy, some breeze from that ocean carried some droplets and changed my life. On the basis of that, I've tried to make an offering at his lotus feet. So if there is any mistake, please forgive me. And I pray that again and again, I will be able to have your association, and together we can serve and glorify our Gurudev. Vanchakalpatarubhasya kripa sindhuvyacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo.
Beautiful, Prabhu. Thank you so much for preparing so thoroughly, giving us your heart, and sharing so much of so much substance in that glorification. I wouldn't be able to cover all the areas. There's just too much to cover. But the couple of things that jumped out at me was, from my own experience, was even as someone, because I came to Gurudev in 1996, but you had already had 9 years in Bhakti. I hardly knew anything at all. I just about knew where India was on the map. But I always felt that sense from Gurudev, you could ask him anything. I have experience of asking him questions that were quite outrageous, actually, which I haven't got time to share here. But I never felt any fear from him, and I always thought, well,
Please tell us those questions. And
no, we don't have to. I'll do it another time. But the point being that I didn't really care if I got smiled up or reprimanded, because I knew his love was absolute, and that I had unconditional love from him, and that's what he felt to me. And there was the other point you made about reconciliation, this idea of reconciling. It was always a very deep concept for me that's always unfolding, is that, you know, because we all often have so many philosophical schisms in Vaishnavism and arguments, and sometimes they're not argued with great aplomb or great etiquette. We've all lost, especially with social media, we've lost our ability to discuss things with etiquette in some cases. But Gurudev was always, it was always a question. It's quite a deep-hearted sense, not just intellectual. It's very deep-hearted. It's like, expand your heart, seek to understand the other person from a deep position, hold on to your philosophy and your truth, seek guidance from Guru and Shastra and Parampara, and these things can be reconciled. Don't just be in Rajagun and jump to your first philosophical conclusion, but be humble and inquire from others. This reconcile instruction is very deep, and I think it has great importance for the future of Vaishnavism across the world, because we're not asked to be monolithic. We're not asked to be one institution. We're asked, we can be many, many small families, but we need to be small families where there's a harmonious symphony of music between us, which has to be based upon reconciling everything, which is based on faith in Guru, which is based on humility and Trinadapi. So I felt you touching on that was really, really beautiful. And I certainly felt that he loved me the most, although I also knew he loved everyone else the most. I felt that specialness. And that, what you said, it's not by calculation. How can he love me the most and everyone else the most? Well, he can, because Prem is infinite. Had one quick question. You talked about the 4 stages of the relationship of instruction. You talked about instruction, study, discussion, and time. And I felt that perhaps what was missing from those 4, maybe as an addition, is Seva, because without the external manifestation of Seva, which is meditated on from within, the application of instruction, study, discussion, and time doesn't happen. I was wondering whether that was implied in your Qatar, or whether it's actually explicit somewhere too.
Yeah. Because there's no relation of, because it mentions that one is learns from Guru. So learning from Guru implies serving, because tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. So you serve and you surrender and you ask questions, and that's learning from Guru. There's no difference. There's no separation. The process of learning, that section of the 4, learning from Guru, is surrender, service, and asking questions. But then sometimes the spiritual master is not available. Then you have the interaction with your God brothers.
Yeah.
And then you have your own studies. And then there's a question of time, because the chitta expands. And sometimes it's a subject that's just too big to fit in our tiny chitta. And so years have to go by of chanting and serving, and mercy comes, and the chitta expands and expands to be able to accommodate those higher realities.
Yeah, beautiful. So thank you so much, Prabhu, and thank you again to your wife for arranging everything. We've had a beautiful.
That is in Shastra. Also, what I said is in Shastra.
Yeah.
I'll send you the verse if you like, and you can.
Yeah, please.
Okay.
You have my. Your wife has my WhatsApp.
Yes.
So we come, unfortunately, to the end of our 12th glorification of Srila Gurudev. Next week is the last week of this calendar year, and then we're into the calendar year of Srila Gurudev's appearance year. We're making beautiful progress. Thank you. It's been a wonderful attendance this week, and I don't know how, but somehow, even though I can't see everybody because we're not in the same room, I can almost hear the Shravan of all the devotees, and I feel like there's been, a lot of really acute attentiveness. We had Srimati, Shasikala, Didi to start off with from Holland. Thank you so much, Didi. It was beautiful, beautiful offering. Followed by Sriman Pundarik Prabhu from Skegness. Is he still with us? Thank you so much. That was a beautiful offering from you, Prabhu. And then Srimati Manju Didi, who overcame all her shyness and didn't appear at all nervous. And then our pièce de la résistance at the end is our beloved God brother Sriman Prem Preyojana Prabhu from Switzerland. We'll be back at the same time next week. Yashodhara, you'd like to add something? Hopefully we can hear you there. When are you coming back, my dear? Not next week, the week after, right?
Yeah, I'll be back the week after, when
Okay.
my internet might actually work a bit better.
Yeah.
But just want to say thank you so much for everyone that has shared with us memories about Srila Gurudev, because someone like me, that had no association with Srila Gurudev, brings me closer to Srila Gurudev and understanding him and bettering myself as a devotee to become his real sevak. So thank you so much, and we encourage everyone to come again to join us next week. And if you have anyone that you think would be great to share memories with, please tell them to also join. And please let us know so that we can invite them. And let's make 2021 a year of celebration and a glorification of Srila Gurudev throughout, from day one all the way to the end. Radhe Radhe. Thank you so much, Dandavat Pranams.
Have we got anyone from Australia or New Zealand? Because we've got 4 continents today. Have we got anyone from Australia or New Zealand today? Oh no. Okay, we haven't quite got the whole world then. We're working on it. Gurudev's working on it. The garland is not fully around the earth yet.
No, it won't until the end of 2021, I don't think.
How about other planets?
Huh? Other planet? Well, yeah, I don't. That's hidden knowledge, Prabhu. We can't talk about that.
I think Srimati Radhika Didi is going to end our program for us.
We have a lady we have Bhadradasi. Is she here? Okay, Radhika, are you there? Oh, wonderful.
Yes, actually, Prem Preyojana Prabhu, could you end with Kirtan for us? You're way
sure.
senior. And,
Let me just get him a ganga. Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Let me just get him a ganga. Please. Okay, just bring it in, okay? Sorry. Just a moment. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Bole Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki jai, Varesani Wali ki jai, Vrishabhanu Raj Kumari Ju ki jai, Jai Jai Sri Radhe. Gaur Srinath Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.